it's Ina the Mood Reader, and today let's talk about the books that you could read for the wikathon and of course for the rest of the year. So, August is coming soon and I'm very excited. Last year, it was one of the most fulfilling reading months for me because it was a month where we celebrated Filipino authors from different genres and of different generations for the love of Philippine literature. And this event is all thanks to Kate of Your Tita Kate. She is a book blogger, an inactive booktuber, and a book talker. And yeah, she is one of the people I look up to the most and whose reading tastes I admire, whose book recommendations I really appreciate. And I really do miss having her around on BookTube, but her blog posts are always delightful. So give her a follow or give her website a visit right now. But anyway, yeah, last year I was able to read, I think, 20 Filipino written books because I did pick up quite a few graphic novels, and I participated in 24-hour readathons, which made it easier for me to be inspired to read more. So today I'll be touching on different Filipino authored books that you could pick up for your wikathon TBR. But basically, wikathon has quite a few prompts and challenges. These books can fit some of those prompts. Please do the research yourselves. I haven't really filled out my wikathon possibility pile yet. It will be the video after this one, so we'll talk about it more there. But basically, these are the Filipino written books that I did like. So all of these books I have already read before. And for the books that I plan on reading for the wikathon, you just have to wait till the next video. But anyway, let's start. This would be at random. But we'll first start with the physical books I have here. And then I have a few books I read on ebook and audio to talk about later. But for the first book, we have here Hello Universe by Erin Entrada Kelly. This is a middle grade book. I read this for wikathon last year via audiobook from Scribd. So when I found a pre-loved copy, I bought it right away because I really enjoyed reading this book. This is actually a winner of the John Newbery Medal for the most distinguished contribution to American literature for children. So Hello Universe revolved around the story of 4 different kids. We have Virgil Salinas, Valencia Somerset, Kaori Tanaka, and Chet Bullens. So this one touched on bullying and friendship and love. And I went into this book blindly, but I highly recommend you do the same. All I have to say is that Erin Entrada Kelly's writing style is amazing, and being on the mind of these children were very enlightening. And though this book is written for middle grade children, middle grade readers, adult readers would definitely pick up a lot of lessons from this book. The next book that I recommend is written in Tagalog. This one is Anina ng Mga Alon by Eugene Y. Evasco. This is also an award-winning book, and this one is about a young Badjao named Anina and her life, where they weren't really expected to be able to be granted an education. So it's her trying to identify who she wants to be and what she wants to be, as well as trying to go through the challenges that life brings. So it shows the rich culture of the Badjaos, as you know, indigenous people living in the sea, like spending all of their life in the waters, and the world that they are in, where there is poverty, where there are wars, and what the future would be like for her, for people like Anina. Next, we have another, I'm not sure if middle grade or young adult book that I really did enjoy. It's Choco Chip Hips by Agay Lianera. So this one is, it's a young adult book, and the reason why I really loved it is we have a plus-sized main character. As you can see here, we have Jessie. She loves baking. She is shy and overweight, but she really loves to dance. So this book revolves around her loving herself, having body positivity, changing negative body image issues that she may have, and learning to step up, embrace who she is, and finding confidence in her skills, in her abilities, and developing friendship and improving her relations with her dad and the rest of her family. So I really loved Choco Chip Hips. As you can see, I've annotated it quite a bit, so I definitely recommend it to everyone. And the writing style of Agay Lianera is very amazing as well. So yeah. Next, I have here a group of 3 books. I bought this from Anvil on Shopee last year because they all match. And they are all from the Romance Class. If you're not familiar, Romance Class is a community of romance writers from the Philippines who publish their books internationally. Most of them write in English for an international market, and they deliver a new and fresh look to Filipino romance. So yeah, they're all modern stories that are very interesting. This one, Vintage Love, is another Agay Lianera book, and this one revolves around a girl who loves vintage things and having a meet cute with this guy at a vintage store, and there are romance troubles here. I was actually honestly frustrated with the main character because of some of her decisions, but all in all, it's still a good book to read. Next, we have Cover Story Girl. This one is set in Boracay, and we have a Filipino tour guide who meets a Korean vacationer tourist in Boracay, and it started as kind of dislike to lovers. I am not sure if I should go as far as telling enemies, but I'm sure that they did dislike each other, and eventually, of course, sparks fly between them. So it's going to be revolving around that. And the last one is Save the Cake, and just as the title says, we have here Eloisa, 28 years old, who works at her family bakery, and this one revolves around her and taking chances on love and all that. Yeah, it's really cute as well. Next one I have here is a little different. This one's a fantasy by Rin Chupeco. This is The Never Tilting World, and this one is, I'm not sure if it's part of a duology or a series. I know there is the second book of this one already out. I haven't read that yet. If I get a copy, I would probably do a reread of this one. But what I really loved about this book is that Rin did an amazing job writing somewhat of a climate fiction fantasy book with, of course, queer characters. We have 4 leads here, so 2 couples each, and it was an amazing journey, honestly. Rin always writes fantasy in a way that doesn't overwhelm. So for someone who is always intimidated by fantasy, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the way they write and tell their stories. Yeah, and what the main thing that really sold me on this book is this line here at the back, which says, "A demoness is what they call a goddess that men cannot control." And yeah, I really loved this. It was an amazing book about 2 sisters I remember people pitching this one as Frozen meets Mad Max, but I've never watched Mad Max before, so I don't know if the comparison stands. All I know is I did love it and it was an amazing journey. And my next Filipino author recommendation is, of course, 13. Right now I have book 1, volume 1, 2, 3, 5, and Stories from the Diabolical. It's an incomplete collection, and I recently just bought Murder on Balete Drive and Mass Murder, so I haven't read both of those yet. I have to admit I already read some of these books, the volume 3, 5, and the Stories from the Diabolical, even though it wasn't in order. I just wanted to see what the fuss was about. So yeah, but I'm sure if you have watched the Netflix series, the adaptation of 13 into the screen, then I don't have to sell this book to you anymore. I'm sure you're interested as well to read this. I know they are reprinting, I think, the first 3 volumes, but I do hope they do release 4 and 6 and 7 soon, because I really want to have my hands on those copies. But yeah, I think the wikathon for this year has a prompt for the supernatural, so this would definitely fit that prompt. So there. Next, I have here Bola Bola by Ana Heronga. This is a young adult romance, and this one revolves around the question, what happens when you fall in love with your kuya's best friend? So this is a young adult contemporary that revolved around a coming of age story. Children young adults trying to face the uncertainty of college, the future, their friendships and relationships and all of those things, and of course a chance at love. So this is what it all goes through, and of course an additional push point of this book is having a plus size lead character who is crushing on a friend of her brother's. So there. So the next book I'm recommending is this young adult fantasy book, a recent release, and it's already an award-winning book, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so this one was published in 2020, and Scholastic Asia was very kind to send me a copy of Wing of the Locust by Joel Donato Ching Jacob, and this book is amazing. I did a video on this book. I'll link it somewhere here in the video so that you can watch my journey of reading Wing of the Locust. And let me just say, the writing style of this author is amazing, and the world building as well. It touches on Filipino superstitious mythology, folklore. I don't know the exact term to use, but the world of the Mambabarangs, and the setting of this book leans more towards Philippines pre-Hispanic colonization era. So seeing our culture this way is refreshing as well. So yeah, I'm highly recommending this one. If I'm not mistaken, there are copies of this book at dearbooks.ph. I'm not sure if there are copies in Shopee and Lazada, but if I do, I'll be linking them in the description as well. But get this, it's really good. And if I'm not mistaken, the author and their team mentioned that this is actually a part of a series, so there might be another installment of the story here in Wing of the Locust. The next book I'm recommending is something I'm sure many of you already know about. It's a trilogy that has recently reached its conclusion, and it's Chronicles of the Bitch Queen or The Wolf of Orenyaro, The Ikisar Falcon, and The Dragon of Jinsayang, which I read on Kindle. I didn't have a physical copy of it yet, but this one is a high fantasy book, high fantasy trilogy about a very strong, independent female character which touches on motherhood and being a woman, being a strong, powerful woman, embracing all that is meant to be yours. And it's an epic tale. There's so many things that happen. It's indeed one hell of an adventure, one hell of a ride, and I'm very, very happy to have jumped in and discover the wonders of this world. K.S. Villoso did a great job with world building and developing the plot, developing the characters. You really would be frustrated. You would feel the emotions as strongly as our Queen Talien. And the cultures here had some Asian coding and Filipino coding. So it was definitely something that would make you smile at times, with references that you're familiar with the Filipino culture and Asian culture. And at the same time, it would hurt you and frustrate you. It would make you cry with some of the worst parts of it, when, of course, our lead is experiencing the trials and tribulations in her journey. But all in all, it's an amazing ride. Definitely something that you could imagine being adapted into a series because of how vivid the environment, the ambience of the book was portrayed here. So yeah, definitely something I would recommend for high fantasy lovers and those who are interested to try out the genre. Next, we have here is, of course, Janus Silang by Edgar Calabia Samar. This is the first book, Janus Silang at ang Tiyanak ng Tabon. Another book written in Filipino, and I really love this one. I read it for last year's wikathon. I have the rest of the series to complete. And of course, I am eagerly waiting for the 5th installment coming this September, hopefully. So I think August is the right time to actually finish the entire Janus Silang series. So let's see how many books I'll be able to squeeze into my August reading. But yeah, this one is a fantasy. The language here is very Tagalog casual. And it revolves around an RPG game called Tala Online, and the journey of Janus, a young boy. And this one also has somewhat a modern approach, yet touching on Filipino mythology and folklore as well. So yeah, definitely emotional and surprising and action-packed at times. Very thrilling adventure, if I may say. So definitely recommend it. Next Filipino authored book is one I have recently finished for a meet and greet on Zoom with the author, and this one is 100 Silent Ways by Mari Joji. So this book is published in the US via River Grove Books, but I think some copies are available on Fully Booked. Try asking your local Fully Booked branch or check out their Shopee or Lazada page, or maybe Fully Booked online. This one is a romance or a women's fiction, if I may say. It asks the story, how do you trust and let yourself be comforted by the idea that the sun and the moon give out equal brilliance? So this is about a woman and her slowly crumbling marriage, meeting a man by chance at an airport and having her life change forever. Of course, it has romance elements, but also family, culture, and self-identity as well. It's a short read, so if you're looking for short reads perfect for a readathon, then this one would be a perfect choice for you. And lastly, on the physical books is Sugar and Spite by Gail D. Villanueva. I did a live show for this book with In Cosmic Dreams Book Club with Kat from her bookish side, and you'll see there how much I raved about how I love this book, how it took me by surprise, how it made me fall in love, but at the same time broke my heart, stepped on it into pieces. And yeah. Sugar and Spite is a realistic fiction with hints of magical realism about friendship and bullying and love of family and pets as well. As you can see here, we have a cat and a dog on the cover. So this one, because even though I read the ebook copy, I wanted to have it on my hands because I really love the book, and I want to have something to remember the book by. So I bought a hardcover from Fully Booked for this one is available for 864 pesos. I'm not sure if there's a paperback copy as well, but let me tell you how much this book is worth the price and worth the time reading. It's really amazing. I love it to bits. Like one of my most favorite books so far in the year. So there. So those are all the physical books. I'll just do a quick rundown on the ebooks that I would also like to recommend you to read for the wikathon. So this one, the first is Dwellers by Eliza Victoria. This is a science fiction, speculative fiction. I really don't know how to explain it, but do enter it blindly. I swear it's worth it. I didn't know Eliza Victoria before, but it's really worth the read, so just check it out. It's on Scribd. I read it via Scribd on ebook, but yeah, because I'm not sure if there are copies of this book still sold out there. So if you're interested, I know there are copies on Scribd. Next is a romance, a contemporary romance published by Carina Press in the US. It's Sweet on You by Carla de Guzman. Carla de Guzman is also one of the romance class authors. So basically, this one is about two rival business owners in Lipa City, Batangas, and Christmas romance. Very sweet, and I know, I just loved it a lot. Very Filipino, and I'm so happy that this very Filipino story is making its way towards romance lovers all over the world. The third book I also read on Kindle is Please Pick Me by Reina Regina. This is a poetry collection by my dear friend Reina Regina from Bookstagram, and this one is very emotional and real and raw, and I just love her writing, so please do check it out as well. Next is another poetry book. This time it's in Tagalog, so that's Bagay Tayo by Jerry B. Gracio, and it's about his take on love in its most unapologetic, unconditional state. It's his story with his life partner, very real, raw, unedited emotions, so it's going to be a roller coaster ride. Prepare your heart and maybe some tissues as well. I also want to recommend two other books of Erin Entrada Kelly I listened to on audio, and that's You Go First and The Land of Forgotten Girls. I still have to read some of her work, so I don't know yet what to think about that. But for those two books, I am recommending them with flying colors. They are both amazing reads, so do pick them out. Now, lastly, I have 3 romance class recommendations for, four romance class recommendations for lovers of love. First is Field Guide, Love and Other Natural Disasters by Six de los Reyes. If you are the type to want to read an intellectual romance between like a marine biologist, researcher, and a news anchor ala Atom Araulio, then you should definitely read this one. I also want to recommend From the Heart, which is an anthology by Romance Class. It's I think one of the prompts for the wikathon this year is to pick out books by authors who are not from Tagalog, so from different provinces of the Philippines with different dialects. And I think From the Heart has a few stories that would definitely fit that prompt. I also have the playlist series by J.E. Tria, and particularly the one I loved the most was the Songs to Your Beat, which is the 5th one, I think, which is about the drummer. So basically, there are 5 books, if I'm not mistaken, about each member of the band. So it's each of their love stories. So you'll fall in love with the band Trainwreck because you'll see them grow through the different stories. You can read them as a standalone, but it's also amazing to read the entire series as a whole. And lastly, Keep the Faith by Ana Tejano is always going to be my favorite romance class read. It proves in a way that you don't really need spicy scenes or smut to deliver romance you'd carry for a very long time. I mean, French fries would never be the same again. So do read that book. And those are all my Filipino authored book recommendations so far. You can use for your wikathon, TBR, or just, for casual reading for the rest of the year. If you have other Filipino authored recommendations, please do comment them down below so that I could check them out. And if you want to learn what I would be reading for this year's wikathon, then please do watch out for the next video up on this channel. Thank you so much for watching and see you on the next one. Bye!